My name is Alex Comfort. I'm president of your AFP chapter. I have a consulting company called Mountain Nonprofit Solutions. And we're going to begin today with a couple of announcements that I need to have people make. Myra is going to make an announcement, and she's either going to do it from her seat or she's going to come up and join me. And I don't see Myra, okay? There she is, all right. May I say that one of the exciting things that is going on with our chapter is that we are meeting here at the Renaissance again after many, many years. And if I would remind everybody that we need to know that you're coming by Friday of the week preceding the AFP meeting, okay? We can always take a few walk-ins, that's not a problem. But generally, if you'll let us know, we are astounded to have over 60 people here today. That is great news. So one of the most important things that we do as a chapter, and one of the things that's biggest benefit to you all, both for those of you who will be helping on the volunteer side and those of you who are going to be on the consumer side of this, is our mentor program. And Myra Grant is our mentor chair, and she will explain this to you.
First, I want to thank Donna Inslee for last year's work, as it was a pilot project. AFP International does encourage, and if you look on their website, has a link about mentoring. So my first question would be, or my first statement would be, it's okay to ask for help, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Whether you have been in your role 20 years or 30 years, or you're new to a role, you're a new development staff, it's still okay to ask for help. It's perfectly the right thing to do, and so that's what mentoring is about. Getting support from a seasoned professional at any point in your career, whether you're a new ED or you're new to a role, or you're not new and you want to receive some help. Last year we matched mentors with mentees, people who wanted to find out more about the field of development. And you'll see on your table a few forms that are there available for you. I'm most interested today in getting back feedback for those people who want to be mentors. And I'm going to ask Mark to help me with revising the form that's on the website so that that can be easier to be completed, and added a few more categories to the form than we had last year. So if you're interested in being a mentor, first deadline would be February 1st to get that information back through the website and to me, and so I'll follow back up with that. And then if you're thinking that you need help, or you need assistance, you want support in some way, then we'll send out another deadline for when we're going to begin the first program of the year, which can be the match and the work with the mentor-mentee can be up to 6 months. I think last year we had up to 5 months, and in my case that kind of pushed us a little bit in one of the projects I was working on. So I'm glad to be asked to help, and I'm glad to be able to give back to the chapter in this role. So, thank you all.
Thank you, Myra. In just a minute, we are going to go ahead and get started, so please finish your lunch as we have our program. Before I introduce Sheryl Aikman, I would like to say in particular how exciting it is to see a number of board members here today, and to remind all of you development directors and executive directors how powerful it can be to get some board members to come and see that there really are people like us, that there are a lot of us, and that we do good work, and to get them involved in the process. Now, Sheryl Aikman is the Vice President for Development and, what do you call it?
Development.
Or she's a Vice President, yeah, she's a Vice President of Development at the Community Foundation of Western North Carolina. I think she's been here about 15 years. I got to know her after she first came. You may know that she's an attorney, and she's an attorney who understands development. And that's a really exciting concept, and I'm not sure there are too many of those, but anyway, don't quote me, or then again, go ahead. But the bottom line is she's been a great speaker and presenter, not only to our group, but all over. And she is a tremendous resource to all of us in the nonprofit world, she and Becky Davis in particular, with regard to plan giving issues. And Catherine McConnell over here at the same table is a great resource to those down in the Hendersonville area, and you can do all your geography, and I don't know how it works, but both of them are great. And so every time we have a question, we just call them and they have the answer. So anyway, Sheryl is going to do our presentation today, so please, as I say, feel free to continue your meal, and because of the fact that we don't have a microphone, I will depend on the people in the back to raise your hand if we're having trouble hearing. All right, Sheryl Aikman.
Thank you. Okay, he assured me the magic window was going to work. And it's really exciting. The worst is when you get it all set up before, and then you stand up to talk and everything's gone to sleep and disconnected, but that was impressive. Thank you, Alex, for that introduction. I'm really glad to be with you all. I haven't been in this room. Becky, when was the last time we were in this room?
Presentation for women members before our function in 2005.
5 is what I'm thinking. So it's fun to be up here again. It's fun to be with you all. I can't remember what the assignment was. Annie Fritchner gave it to me. I'm sure I paid attention and then went off on a tangent to talk about this and decided to talk about what I want to talk about. So there's a plan giving thread here, but this isn't a planned giving presentation, really. This is a giving presentation. It's a development presentation. I'm looking at Kathy. It's a marketing presentation. A whole bunch of you right here. And I hope there's a little something for everyone. And I promise there'll be some planned giving nuggets, such as they are. So the first thing we have to think about is who we're talking to when we're asking for money. Well, in Asheville, sorry, I didn't know. I could have pulled Hendersonville's data, but I didn't know.
It's gone.
You might be in this data, because didn't we blend our metros? I don't know. So we're definitely talking to some of these people. This was a giving survey that philanthropy.com posted up. Asheville did pretty well in terms of metro areas compared with metro areas of our same size. In the top, sort of squeaking into the top third. Pretty high discretionary income in our metro area, and a pretty reasonable percentage of income given compared to if you look at the broad swath nationally. So we're definitely talking to this. Who are these people? You can't avoid the fact that you're talking. There are 4.3. This is the top of the baby boomer curve. Look, Eleanor would like to stand up and represent. She's nodding. She's like, yes, this is me. So you know about the baby boomer bubble. This is the biggest swath of the bubble. These folks, right now. That was the peak year. They are the largest donor group numerically because they're the largest group numerically, period, generationally. And currently, baby boomers as a whole, not just the wonderful people from 1957, are contributing about 43% of the total giving nationally in the U.S. So you've got to pay attention to them. They love that, by the way. More on that. More on how to pay attention to them in a moment.
More.
Uh-oh. This is, on those yellow sheets, there's a reference to this data. This is Russell James's data. Most final bequest decisions, the last time people add a charity, change a charity, tweak a percentage, kick you out, is after age 75.
Wow.
We used to talk a lot about you got to get to people in their 40s. That's when they make their will. And if you get in the will, you'll stay in the will. And that's true, but you might not stay in the will in the same place. And you might not stay in the will in the same way. What drives this? What happens when someone's 75? The spouse passes. And they go back to the will one more time. If you only paid attention to the spouse and you've ticked off the widow or the widower, it might be kicked out. If you didn't send a condolence card to that longtime supporter, it might be kicked out. Pay attention. So this Russell James guy, he's a professor. The data is pretty data-ish. It's pretty academic, but it is amazing stuff. He presented at a conference I went to in the fall. They took 2 data sets that had never been mashed together. And so took IRS data from tax returns about giving and estate filings. And then there's this like double secret, long buried, ongoing longitudinal study of bequest realizations where they actually go to the families and find the executor and say, the will said, give $1,000 to organization A. Did that happen? And get the real story. And they mashed all that up and then pulled out some really interesting sort of behavioral and surprising data about bequests in the United States. So don't read it like a 10:30 in your bed with some TV show you're mildly interested on in the background. It takes a little chewing to get through it, but there's good stuff there. This is just a little graphic to represent one of the most interesting summaries I've seen about how to talk across generational cohorts. It's a beautifully done set of infographics from Blackbaud, our friends. Many of us have friends at Blackbaud. The URL is on that yellow sheet. It's like 5 little infographics that have got bullet points and characteristics about how to talk to people based on age. It's really good stuff. So that was mostly just to remind me to tell you about it. So you got to know who you're talking to. And at some level, you probably need to segment how you're talking to them based on some of what you know about them individually, but also about them as a group. And the last thing that's really important to know is that loyalty trumps gift size. If you want to talk to people about bigger gifts, talk to them about ultimate gifts, i.e. a gift that's going to come at the end of their lifetime. Loyalty trumps everything else. $10 a year for 50 years is a great prospect. So, I don't know who was talking about someone to run the data side of their development work. That person needs to pull this out. And if you need to go who to go see, don't run cumulative lifetime giving by amount. Run it by consistency. Every time. You may go, oh, my database doesn't do that. Or I wonder if my database does that. Or there's no way we can get that out. So don't think of every record in the database. Do you have a group of people you've identified as perhaps having already left you a bequest? Do you have a group of people identified in some other way because of, past board, past volunteers, other affinities? Take that group and their data and mash that data to see if you can pull out this. You get 10 names of truly loyal donors. That's a half a year's work. See, Tammy's like, Always count, Tammy. Tammy knows who these people are. She knew and she knows. All right. What's your message? This one may be a little harder to hear. So this is from a guy who I think is the preeminent voice on donor communication. His name is Tom Ahern. He has a rich website. He has an amazing monthly newsletter. He has a house in France he'll rent to you. Corporate communications are about how great the organization is. We help children succeed. We feed people. We. We're all guilty of it. Community Foundation does it all the time, particularly on stuff I don't get a hold of before it gets out. Donor communications is about the donor. You. Becky knows. Becky's been the victim and the accomplice in slash and burn commando raids all over Community Foundation materials for many years now. You could talk for 3 hours just about this, but you can read Tom Ahern, the guru of this, all day long on his website. So here's what people really want to know. Does this mean I belong to something that's bigger than me? That's what we all want. We all want significance. We all want to feel like we're part of something bigger, or at least people who are charitably inclined. And does my gift make a difference? My gift $10? My gift $10,000? My gift. And that's the trick sometimes, is communicating to donors across at every monetary level about what they're doing. Who does it best? Heifer. $15 bees. $50 goat. $500 water buffalo. Right? You know exactly what you're getting. Heifer does it better than anybody to translate what you get at what donor level. And I gave somebody a llama for Christmas once, and I really felt like I was giving them a llama, and that there was some family in Peru that had a llama because of me. Now, I know that I just dumped money into Heifer's overall program, but I cut out the picture of the llama from the catalog, gave it to the person, and gave it to the person, absolutely. All right, now here, I'm trying to remember the introductions. I don't think we have any real professional advisor types in the room. Maybe some recovering ones. So here's a scary thing to me. According to an October 2013 survey by the Philanthropic Initiative, which is a fancy schmancy consulting firm in Boston, and U.S. Bank, big bank, advisors play a very significant role in charitable planning, but not just about tax strategies. Folks, what do advisors actually know about? Tax strategy. Just hold on to that for a moment. High net worth individuals want a charitable advisor that they can have values-based conversations with, deepening the discussion beyond technical issues. Here is my takeaway from this. and professional advisors are my best friends, I don't mean to bash them. But if high net worth folks are wishing that their CPA would talk to them about their deepest values, how they're going to achieve significance, how they can have a charitable impact, we have missed the damn boat. The collective nonprofit, we're the ones who should be having that conversation with folks. We should be the sector they're looking to. You know, technical execution, I need a CPA as much as the next person. But the values, the heart to heart, the knee to knee, why is this meaningful? How can we help you feel the impact of this gift? That's our job.
Quick question.
Yes.
One of the things that's always been a problem for me in that issue is I've always felt a little disloyal to my nonprofit by having a general conversation with a donor about their philanthropic desires and helping them give to other agencies other than just mine. So how does loyalty to one's own institution play into what you just said?
Oh, Catherine has the answer.
Your community foundation.
I swear I did not buy her lunch.
Well, but I don't want to just say to the donor, go talk to the community foundation.
No,
Both ends.
But what we can do is that we're not selling one charity over the other. We're helping connect that donor with where their passion is. And
I
But
swear.
not to argue, but it's very important for me to have that relationship with my donor to be able to have that larger conversation myself without necessarily sending everybody off somewhere else.
why not do them together?
I think it comes around to the case.
And what we've done several, where we've had the nonprofit in the room with the donor, they talk about that, then we will follow up with the donor and do what they want. And almost always, it still includes you.
I think it's a legitimate question. I also think if you create a gift plan for someone that ultimately isn't what they want, that doesn't serve the organization either.
Right? But so
And I think
you are agreeing with me that we need to walk that fine line, but also be open to the donor's larger philosophy than just our individual institution, and not worrying about that donor calling my boss and saying, did you know that Alex is talking about something else other than UNC Asheville?
Hard for me to say because I sit in the land of, what do you care about? We can help.
Yeah, okay.
And again, I think the compelling case for your organization, I mean, that a person hasn't gotten to the need-to-need conversation without some interest in efficiency.
Okay.
This will come as a surprise. This is not what you're hearing from the C-suite. It is not about you, and it's not about the organization you work for. You're a conduit for the passions and the resources of donors. And Katie Russell Hiller, who, you know, Physical Legal, if you aren't reading their stuff, read their stuff. They're masterful at telling me what they're getting done in my name, on my behalf, in the community. What's that lady's name? She didn't lose her house.
Mildred.
Mildred, I mean, Mildred is on my refrigerator. You know, Mildred did not lose her house.
Next to the llama.
Yeah, next to it. And now I don't normally read, but I'm going to read because this is a guy named Alan Clayton. I found him through Tom Ahern. Got to be reading Tom Ahern. And this is it's just too good to paraphrase. Donors don't want education, they want action. Be moody. Your mood changes others' moods. Alan cites the example of Rosa Parks. She refused to move on the bus, and she made 20 million other people stubborn. emotions work immediately. And this is a Canadian neurologist observation, but I think it's great, and it's one you can just sort of hang on to in your brain. The essential difference between emotion and reason is that emotion leads to action while reason leads to conclusions. If you want people to think about your cause, remain rational. If you want people to join your cause now, i.e., make a gift, stick with emotions. Now, we all know that some people respond to emotion, and some people respond to data, and some people respond to, I'm looking at Becky Davis, rational, clear, cogent, progressive patterns of communication. People don't give to make a bad feeling go away. They give to get a good feeling. It comes from a piece particularly about fundraising writing, but I think it kind of goes across all that we do. What are you going to focus on? Oh, this is where you get the little plain giving part you came for. Everyone's like, oh, this is what I came for. So here's what you're not getting. If you came for the alphabet soup, you are leaving hungry. No clats, no cruts. No, what's my latest one? Whatever, grant or retain charitable lead annuity trust. You can't even, it's not even an acronym you can pronounce. It sounds like a bad Russian word. So you're not getting any of that. So sorry if that's what you came for. There'll be another session, I'm sure. Not getting any of that. And you shouldn't be giving any of that out either. Okay, now here's an interesting little statistic. In the United States, about 8% of the giving comes from bequests. In the United Kingdom and Australia, 20 to 30%. Part of that is tax incentives, pure and simple, and some economists could do a multi-stage regression analysis and tell you really where the spread is. But somebody somewhere is doing a better job with this than we are. Again, Tom Ahern, who I'm clearly channeling. Is it because, and he really asked the question and doesn't, I think has an answer, but just poses the question. Is it because we lump bequests in with all this other junk? CGAs, CRTs, if you want this, if you want that. When really, what about 80 to 90% of anybody's donor base in the room has the ability to do is a bequest, or I would argue, a beneficiary designation. We scare them right away. So they never get to the place where we tell them some easy ways to make an ultimate gift to the organization. So you're not getting any of that other stuff. We're just going to talk about bequests and beneficiary designations. What's a bequest? Yes.
Yeah,
Mark
quick question. Going back to what you were saying about rational versus emotional, what role do you think, if any, data and details have in an emotional ask?
I think they can convey the scope of the issue. I think there are people who need to know what the data set is that we're talking about. I think the turning moment is probably emotional 9% of the time. And even if the emotion is just to make my bad feeling go away that I got from the data and have a good one that I was able to do something.
So maybe not throw data out the window.
No. Data doesn't go out the window. But I think the action step is probably more successful when it's tied to emotion.
I've actually heard it said that the data is the validator. So a lot of people can motivate an emotion, but if you don't...
For someone's, wow, that many people really are going hungry. That many people, I about cried when I saw come across my Twitter feed last night that no homeless people died last week in Buncombe County because we had everybody into a shelter when the temperature was below 0. No one died. We should. Okay, so a bequest. Everyone knows what a bequest is. It's a provision in a will that says give something to a charity because this will tells you to do that. So it costs something for people to do this. You've got to make a will, which 65% of us haven't. And you've got to include, if you have a will, you've got to include this. But most people need to make a will because 65% of us haven't, or at some point it might be updated, but your timing is not going to be their timing. Your job is to make sure they know your organization can be included in this way. It doesn't have to take resources away from any family member or person they need to take care of. Because the will can have lots of instructions about how to take care of people, and at the very end it can say, and if there's anything left after you do that, give it to a lot of home. Doesn't have to take anything away from anybody. And that is an interesting point of misunderstanding that I encounter quite a bit of the time. It can take everything away from everybody if you get one of those. You know, works both ways, right? Now, this is where I really want to come apart. So a will is something that, you know, most people can do because most people are going to have a, well, not most people, but people that we're talking to mostly are going to have a will at some point. I bet most everybody in this room has a beneficiary designation, because if you have any kind of retirement plan, any IRA account, any kind of life insurance policy, you filled out a form that told that company what to do with those resources when you die. It costs nothing to change that form except the hassle of figuring out where the link is to it on the website, after the hassle of remembering your password for that website that you only go to once every 3 years anyway. It's completely private. Wills are private too, but you know, you have to at least tell the attorney what you're doing. This is completely private. Fill out a form, send it in. Doesn't have to take resources away from family. Beneficiary, second beneficiary, contingent beneficiary. This, in my opinion, some of you have heard me say this, so I apologize for the soapbox got pulled back over. This, I think, is the most overlooked giving tool around. This is so easy for people to do. They can do a percentage, like as in 1%. People who are 23 in their first job can do this and have the experience of, wow, the likelihood of that really happening that way is small and hopefully a long ways off. But I committed myself to something. You can do it, and you can do it at any point. I want all of you to talk more about this with your people. That's my hope. And now, the shameless self-promotion part of the program. Totally inspired by our friends at the Cumberland Community Foundation on the other side of the state in Fayetteville. Did you all know that everybody in the room has the opportunity to have a naming opportunity for an endowment fund? You do. Here it comes. Anyone can come to the Community Foundation and give us $10,000 and put their name on it and tell us where to send the income from that endowment every single year. Takes about, I don't know, about what, 40 minutes? Maybe? Anybody can do that. Your organization doesn't have to have a big endowment program. You don't even have to know what an endowment is. But if you've got someone who wants to create a legacy, who wants their name on it, who likes the idea of endowment, do not run. Just reach over to the phone, call the community foundation. We can help them do that. It's so easy. It's straightforward. And you all don't have, we don't have to build it for every single organization. Did you say thank you? Of course you did. You sent the letter with a little IRS blah blah on it. No, did you really say thank you? Did you tell their story? Okay, this is another one where somebody with interest, well, so they stuck people in, what do you use for neuroimaging? A CAT scan, an MRI? They stuck people in a machine in a medical facility and let them read bequest stories. And then they let them read something else and they compared. And they looked at what lobes of the brain got activated by what kind of stories. You know, you can't make this stuff up. The most effective way to positively influence someone's feelings about making a bequest was to tell a story about a donor who had already done it. Tell a story. Call Mark Goldstein. He'll help you tell your story.
Which lobes of the brain?
You are going to have to go to the Russell James's website and read. This is another one that I would not recommend for like after 10 p.m. You know, it's dense, but it's good stuff. And you know, like, do you want? That's a grant application you want to read, right? I'm gonna put people in the MRI machine, and I'm gonna. But somebody funded it somewhere. So when a donor makes a gift, acknowledgement is expected. We all send that letter. What makes it special? And the answer is different for every single organization in the room. But some of the things that can make it special, thank them outside of the usual time and place, write it by hand, include something in the handwritten note that references impact. If your relationship is such that you can be informal, be informal. It's about we're making relationships here, not, you know, I don't know. And connecting the gift to the mission. The example, one of the examples I read as I was thinking about this presentation was a theater company that people were going to the show for the first time. In order to get better seats for a performer they very much wanted to see, they joined as members. You know, it was purely for the perk. Like, we want to sit closer, so we're going to pony up to join. I did this at the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences this summer. To get the movie time we wanted for the 3D Under the Sea movie, and a cheaper ticket price, we just flat out joined. We don't go to Raleigh all that much, but you know, we did it. So when these people got to their seats in the theater, there was a note, a thank you note for joining at their seat. Handwritten. Look, Susan's like, that just paid for my lunch.
Because you wrote me a personal thank you note for joining. That was really sweet. That's an old-fashioned personal piece of outreach.
See? Here we
How
are.
many handwritten notes do all of us get? Very few.
It was nice.
Okay, so maybe you're like, I don't have a seat to put a note on. Do you know people's birthdays? Is it in your database? Everybody loves birthday card, just saying. Okay. So what would happen if you started today? Here's the crux move. You got to start. Right? Right? Big green button. Here's how you're going to do it. Take those yellow pieces of paper that have the stuff on them, or some other piece of paper, or I don't know, your card. My card, whatever you want. You're going to write your name and your phone number. You're going to write one thing you're going to do. Hopefully inspired by today's talk, but maybe something else has come to you along these lines. And you're going to give it to the person to your left. I did not say email address. I said phone number. And in the spirit of, where's my mentorship and collegiality, and 60 people in the room, yay, everyone is going to support one. Someone's going to support you, and you're going to support someone else, and you need to write a due date, because we've all been to this session, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. Doesn't work unless you put a due date. You're going to call each other and check in. No one has run screaming from the room in terror. This is a good sign. And I'm going to take questions on any topic you want, but I want to leave you with Yoda. I am not a Star Wars geek.
Is any goal about anything that you want to accomplish or related to Plan B?
Maybe so. I don't care. Any goal. Any
I'm
goal.
getting some questions from the table. So
Any goal.
Okay.
But, maybe something sort of related to today? Maybe?
I didn't mean quite that broad.
I
All right, while you're finishing and handing over,
Sorry,
I leave you with Yoda. A little bit of a cone from Yoda. Do or do not, there is no try. My 8-year-old, who is a fairly black and white kind of personality, did not like this at all. The 6-year-old, who's a little more malleable and open to mystery at the periphery, liked it more. But I like it. And besides Yoda, right? I appreciate y'all's attention and the invitation to be here, and I want to answer questions. We have
I'm
few
going
minutes.
to, first of all, you get a round of applause. This was fabulous. Okay, we have 4 minutes for questions and then a final comment from me.
Yeah.
And then I won't go anywhere until everyone's ready for me to go somewhere. So, questions? Ellen.
So, I work at a school and I
see my parents, and I'm always asking for money either for the gym campaign or for the annual fund or for something. I want to get into bequests, I want to get into planned giving, but you wouldn't combine that ask with another one, would you? Or is that a separate appointment?
It's a great question. So Eleanor's saying, where does this, talking about this kind of gift fit in with talking about the gym, the annual gift? I think sometimes it can't be a separate conversation because you're having a conversation about their giving over time and their capacity. But it's a separate topic, certainly. And I think the interesting situation you're in is at, Evergreen's K through 8. So your constituent audience of parents is pretty young for the most part. And the impact of Evergreen on their child is probably emerging, but could emerge much more profoundly later. So I think, it's being broad and being open to hints. It's being attentive to grandparents who are sniffing around. And I think as time goes on, it's going to be staying in touch with those folks. And I also think it's probably not ever going to, you can certainly generate the opportunity for some nice gifts, but it's not ever going to be your bread and butter. And the other thing is for newer, younger organizations, it's the building that annual giving on a broad, strong platform and attending to it is so critical. It's critical because it's what keeps the doors open, and it's critical because it's what gives you eventually the data about loyalty. And is there a way, and this is more of a major gifts kind of thing, but it fits, I think, are there certain touch points in a child's life where you might, graduation is an obvious one, but are there even points before that where that might be the moment where you ask a parent for a more profound commitment, for a one-time, sort of a major gift in the context of annual giving, not to replace, but at this moment, in this way. It's, it's a continuum, and there's no one size fits all. And there are very little ways to actually profoundly screw this up, except not starting.
Okay, I'm going to stop this now. That's great. The new buzz term for what we're talking about here is called the blended ask. And if you think about it, if you listen the right way, you'll succeed with a blended ask. All right, before everybody leaves, two things. We are very excited at AFP to offer a luncheon training session as we are, but also to offer a monthly webinar using people like Tom Ahern and some of the best speakers in the country. And we're going to start in a new venue next couple of weeks from now. It's the first Thursday morning of every month from 8:30 to 10. There will be a webinar at Lenore Ryan University over at 36 Montford. And this coming month, which is February the 6th, the topic is analyze and identify 3 steps to understand your prospects and supporters. So that's on the 6th in the morning, and feel free to come to that. And then also next month here at the Renaissance, we will have our February program. It is with Dylan Trevette, using video to build awareness and raise funds for your organization. So that's a good one too. And again, in service of getting us out of here right on time, thank you for coming. It's a great day, great energy. This was a fabulous presentation in terms of
If anyone has mentor forms, I'll hang around for a few moments.
I'm going to stand right here. If anyone has something else to say.